Hi, I'm Shoulder Bones, and I just wanted to do a little clip today about some questions I've been asked. So I thought maybe it would be a good time to actually do a little discussion about that. And some of the questions I get asked regularly is about people that work with Shoulder Bones potions and have deity connection. And then there seems to be that this slight confusing topic about how to disengage magically from a working, and also what happens when we have residual magical energy left over. And I guess to start with, I think it's a slightly abstract topic to talk about, as if magic isn't anyway, but about how do we truly disengage when we've done a magical working and we get on with our lives? Do we truly disengage from that magic and then continue in this reality? And for me, I guess over the years, I have to say that I've come to realize that maybe it's a psychological construct that we really truly disengage from a magical working. If we've tapped deity and rogue God form power, it's more likely that what we do is when we actually close down the ritual and thank the god and show great respect that, you know, that this ancient energy came to you know, in some way converse with us, it's probably less likely that we actually could bow out of that connection as easy as saying, and you know, I go to the west and the north and and you know, and people, you know, some people may disagree with me, and that's totally fine, because the great thing about being a witch is that we're all doing our own thing, and it's an eclectic mix of beliefs, witchcraft. And so I am never ever, when I speak on these video clips or on my website, talking for anyone else other than myself and my own experience. So I'm saying that I believe disengaging is a psychological construct that we do so we can stay focused on the here and now and this reality and be safe when we're crossing the street. And, you know, and maybe most people would agree with me and say, well, you know, that's all it ever was, you know, but I mean, I don't know, I can't speak for everyone else. But so what we're talking about though is what people are writing in and asking me is it possible that when we use the brews and we have this, you know, kind of intense conversation or intense experience with one of the god forms to do with connected to the brews, is it possible that there's magical energy left over and they're not going away? Is pretty much how people ask me. They're not going away. Okay. Magical workings aren't necessarily going to fit into you know, if you've got a visitor and you ask the visitor to leave, or the visitor says it's time to leave and they go and you close the door and then they're gone. It doesn't kind of work the same way as that. Your consciousness has opened up to a abundant archetypal energy, and that archetypal energy exists in a timeless fashion, if you like. If you can follow the way that you would normally protect yourself and you would normally close down from ritual, go through the psychological steps that you know that you're moving out of that connection or that conversation, show respect as always, as if it was, you know, to any elder in your community that you respect and admire, and actually stay within yourself, you know, like ground yourself as best you can. And I'm a big believer in coming back to your body in a physical way. So, you know, you might want to go for a run, or, you know, you might want to have a hot or a cold shower, or, you know, eat a nice big heavy meal. So you know, those practical things, you know, don't ignore, basically. You know, that's really good, and it's a really nice way to really kind of ground down. And so what the question is, does magical residue energy end up, you know, being problematic? And I would say, look, if you're going to ride a power as strong as a god form and you're unfamiliar with that kind of working, chances are you're going to be sensitive to feeling residue energy. Yes, I would say that. Yes, you are. And can you dispel it by asking it to leave? doesn't kind of work maybe like that, but yes, you could give it a go. You could bless your house. You can, use something for your mind and for your own spirit that you believe in. Say, for example, you believe in frankincense and myrrh, and you can walk through your house and feel it renewed and refreshed with a different vibration. Are the gods of Child of Bones bad that they don't go away? No, they're not. Of course they're not. What it is more, I think I really believe this actually, I know this to be true in my heart, is that when a god form really manifests, it just doesn't bow out that easy. It's like saying that when you move to another country that you really want to go to, and it takes you a while to acclimatise to the humidity. Say, for example, you come from a dry climate and you're happy, you got there, you got the connection that you wanted, you got everything you needed, but then you're saying, oh my goodness, the humidity is taking a while to adjust. Or the dry heat's hard on my lung, I wasn't expecting this. What's that about? Everything else is great, or everything else worked. And I would say that there's frequencies of power that we manifest, and there's vibrational shifts, absolutely. So just like any weather climate, when we shift or move into different climates, there is an adjustment period. And the adjustment period may be that you're sensing your own experience in your consciousness of being around, for example, such vibrant nature life force of Green Jack, or that you've not been around such powerful, passionate, lusty, really intense love of the Red Mother. And then you think after the connection, do you know what, I feel really focused and sensitive in my heart, and the energy's still around here, and I want to get back to being a little bit more, feeling a bit more stoic. And I'll just say, look, it's not that the gods are after you, it's not that they haven't been respectful, it's just that there's a vibrational shift of energy. You've gone to a different climate, that you're adjusting to the climate. This is what it's like when you work with God forms. There's changes that happen when we touch archetypal powers, and it can settle down and it can move away and it can ease off, and this is what happens. But straight after a magical working, yes, you may be sensitive to ongoing, what you feel is ongoing energy of that deity. The other thing that can happen, apart from that, which always eases off, look, over the years I've had a few people ask me, and it's always been the same, it's always been pleasant, it's been fine, it's eased off. It's just the person is unfamiliar with that power, and their thoughts were that maybe it was lingering on. So basically the other thing is the Child of Bones range. A lot of the gods certainly have servitors. Now, servitors, coming from like the word servant, obviously, is an assistant to the god form, an emanation, if you like, coming off the god form in its own right. It has life. So, what we can be mindful of. Now, I must admit, only one person's ever contacted me to say about a servitor. It's not been a common thing, but I'm going to mention it anyway. And servitors are great. They're really good to work with magic with. If you use one of my products and you find that you end up with a servitor of the god or the goddess, that is a brilliant magical result. Servitors are very good at actually working your magical intention and adding energy to it, or directing it in some way. Now, the main servitors I've worked with in the Child of Bones lineup is forces that have worked to send the spell forward, okay, into manifestation. They don't tend to be, I've not had really deep conversations with them or anything. It's actually more about setting the tone. So magically, if the servitors come around you with the power of the death hag, for example, or hagfire, they tend to be runners, if you like. I call them runners, and they will run with the spell on the channeling the power of the god for you. What you need to be mindful of is not that they're harmful. It's not that. it's sometimes, and this has happened to me just because I wasn't paying enough attention, clearly. What happens is, especially, for example, the death hag, her hounds, if you like, of course, the nature of a hound also is to perhaps in a way be quite loyal. So having sent out a spell, having sent out a magical intention, having see it go with the servitors who were running with it, then the servitors returned when the spell had ended, and I couldn't work it out really. It took me a while. I was obviously having a bit of a moment, and of course the nature of the loyalty of dogs. They don't look like dogs, by the way. They look something like dogs, maybe astral dogs, but they don't look as friendly as most dogs. Certainly not dogs you see at the park. Anyway, so the servitors came back after being given the command, came back to basically be given another command, or that they came back, I don't know, in a way, maybe they just returned to sender to you know, see if there was anything else left that was to be done. And so it actually took me a while to realise that what they needed was the next instruction, and it was to go back to the death goddess, so the death hag. So it's just to be mindful really that, you know, there's residual energy that can be opened in us, that we can vibe out and say that there's something, you know, palpably different in our environments after working with the God form, even though we've closed down, even though because it's in our own consciousness, you know, we've been changed in some way by a strong archetypal energy. There's also living beings on the astral that are connected to God streams. They're not always sent from the God form. They're not always available. Sometimes in some spells they can appear. You may be petitioning the God from using the brew, the shoulder bones brew, and the servitors appear, not the God form, to assist you in your magical working. Go with it. You know, go with it. If you really feel and see or could hear the servitors, you know, knock yourself out. They're fantastic to work with. You know, you're not going to probably get high conversation, but what you will get is beautiful, strong energy off that God form to help you, and it's seen as assistance, okay? They may return and you need to send them back to the God form. You don't have servitors, you know, cramping up your house, you know, they're not paying rent. And of course, if magical energy is not directed, you know, it can lay about, and, you know, maybe it could be a bit problematic. So just be mindful of that. And that's pretty much all we have time for today. So I hope that was helpful.